Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today we're going to do your Should You Buy video on the new alien ship, the xi'an race's Gatac, or Gatac, however you say it, Railen. Railen could also be Railen. We'll need to kind of see what comes with this as they start talking about it a little bit more, but Lando said Railen, so that's what we're going to go with. Now, this ship is really exciting, and not necessarily because it's one that I've really been wanting to buy or anything like that, but it's because it's the first ship edition that is alien and non-combat focused. The Railen is sold as a medium commercial grade cargo hauler with a more reasonable price than expected, coming in at $200 at Warbond. Now, for those that laugh at that statement, just kind of take the price tag in comparison to other ships and what it offers from my perspective there, kind of the value proposition. Now, before we jump into the breakdown and the recommendations, I wanted to remind those of you who haven't yet already that if you appreciate the video and more like this, make sure that you're subscribing to the channel and selecting the bell to ensure that you are getting my videos showing up in your news feed once they are released. With that out of the way, let's dive back into that statement about being a medium cargo hauler. That perspective is a little bit hard to gauge because for some, a freelancer hauling 66 SCU of cargo is considered medium. And for others who may compare the whole series, a C2, the whole series, goes up to 90,000 SCU. You can also look at like a C2 in that comparison spectrum. That carries a little bit over 600 SCU of cargo. That may be medium. Now, regardless, the Railen, it carries a pretty impressive 320 SCU of cargo, and the way it carries the cargo is interesting because it appears to be slung exterior, much like the whole series does. Now, instead of the standard SCU crates that we're used to seeing, the Gatac ships are opting for a triangular and bespoke shape that they claim are made of a high-end alloy that will keep the pods safe during transit. Now, I have two thoughts there. The first being, can the pods be sheared off like what we expect to happen on the whole series, making piracy a concern? Which I think is likely the case, helping to justify the lower price tag like we see on the whole series being a little bit lower because you don't have the items protected inside the hull of the ship, and it potentially makes them a little bit easier to scan. The other thought is that the design seems way less easy to manipulate than the more rectangular SCU pods that we're used to seeing. So I'm curious if that has any impact operationally on loading and unloading the vessel. Conveniently, the Railen comes with a tractor beam, but how useful that's going to be on planet side or having dock crews unload your goods is a little bit TBD. We also don't really know if this ship is capable of carrying rectangular pods from human stores, which makes me wonder if that means if you show up, do you need to unload your pods, then let them get loaded up, and then attach them and then fly off, as opposed to just showing up in a whole series to a human dock where you could presumably just grab preloaded stuff and be gone faster. That may be different if you're in xi'an space versus human space, where they're ready for you and where they're not, where one ship is more convenient than the other. The alternative to all of that is the very real possibility that this is a game, they know it's a game, and they're not going to punish us for the ship, and it will be mostly automated anyways. TBD there. Size-wise, the Railen in flight mode, because it does change depending on what you're doing, is 53 meters long, 52 meters wide, and 67 meters tall. But when landing, the size changes to 65 meters long, 52 meters wide, 37 meters tall. If you want to compare that to some of the existing ships, the Constellation series is similar in length, with the overall size being 61 long, 26 wide, 14 tall, which means the Railen is quite a bit wider and taller than the Constellation series. The Hercules, on the other hand, is 94 by 70 by 23, so the Hercules is longer and wider, but the Railen ends up being taller, which makes the ship kind of this stocky and fat-like ship that almost has this interior that has effective amount of space. You have 3 decks inside, which really seems to cram a lot into the space that you have allotted, and is a unique new design that I appreciate seeing. Not everything needs to be a long, thin shape like a plane or a submarine, and that's why I appreciate some of the alien ships, is because they give you a little bit of diversity in just the view. Beyond what I already mentioned about design, you have articulating and folding nacelles that constitute the size changes by flight mode. To enter the ship from the exterior, you have one of the cooler features of the ship being a floating gravlev lift that takes you into the ship from the ground. And inside the ship, you also have another gravlev lift system to get between the decks. Amenities-wise, You have some nice things, and you have some weird alien features. Some of the positives, you have a mess hall for the crew, a bathroom, crew quarters, and on the top deck, I believe you have a docking collar or a port for ship-to-ship docking or potentially with a station. In the weird area, since this is sold to humans and xi'an, and it's a xi'an ship, you have fermentation vessels and a growth wall for xi'an cuisine, though I have to admit that a growth wall actually sounds like a green wall from various sci-fi, and I like that. But the real weird is that you have a scratch wall, which is used by xi'an to scrape off dead skin and to keep fresh on your long journeys. So it sounds like traveling with a xi'an passenger is going to be a weird experience. Overall, the crew is a total of 4 people with a pilot, engineer, and 2 manned turrets. You do have 2 seats in the cockpit for your engineer to act as your co-pilot when not actively engineering. Components are mostly large, with 2 large shield generators, 2 large coolers, and 1 large power plant. Medium components include your quantum drive, your jump drive, your computer, your radar, and your scanner. An interesting note is that they mention that the ship has a large shield emitter, which to my knowledge hasn't been documented on the other ship designs. That to me says that they are either A, designing shield gameplay further, potentially in line with the shipyard post from a few years back, talking about what they could do, which really included having your shield generator protected inside the ship, but the emitters on the whole actually broadcasting your shield facings. Now, until we get more information on the ISC or in Q&A, we're just going to chalk it up as an interesting note, but I'm not sure it really impacts the value proposition of the ship at all. There are no pilot-controlled weapons on this ship, but the pilot can launch the missiles, which by default comes with 16 size 1 missiles and 4 size 2 missiles, all of which are housed interior on the ship and get launched from tubes, hopefully reducing the signature to some degree. There are 2 manned turrets as mentioned on this ship. Each has 2 size 4 weapons on it. Each of the turrets are located on the front sides of the ship from the artwork, almost tucked into the V of the nacelles, which seems like it gives you good directionality, to the front and back of the ship. I do have some concerns, though, about attacks coming from above or below the ship, where the ship itself may actually get in the way. So I'm not sure about the blind spots yet, but I'm starting to think that they're likely going to be there. So that's the breakdown of the ship overall, which now means that we get to the should you buy recommendation. At $200, it is compelling to be able to carry 320 SCU of cargo. That alone makes it feel like a decent value. Freelancer Max is about 120 SCU and costs about $140-$150. Caterpillar carries over 500 SCU of cargo and costs about $300. I'd say the most relevant comparison is the Hull series, and I think this is where the alien text can really be seen. The Hull C costs about $250, so a little bit more than this, but carries almost 5,000 SCU of cargo. The Hull B carries 384 SCU, which is still more than the Railen, and it only costs $90. So you can spend half the money to still carry more cargo, or you can spend a little more money and carry a lot more cargo, like a lot. The components on the Railen are strong, and I really like the design, but I'm not really sure I see a lot of value in where this falls. I always have feelings about the value of alien ships that may or not be founded. I think that there is at least some potential for a few realities that you need to prepare for. It is likely going to be harder to replace an alien ship, meaning longer claim times. Components could potentially be harder to find if compatibility issues become a thing, meaning more traveling to shop. Now, those could be non-issues, or they could be a pain in the butt. Overall, I don't think you gain a lot over the whole series to justify the price, but there is one major call-out, being that the Railen is able to land planetside with a full cargo load, whereas the Hull C and above are unable to do so, which provides a little bit more diversity to operation types for the Railen, or potentially only filling up on unique configurations in the Hull C to be able to do that, but even then, you're probably carrying more cargo, so the Hull C kind of still comes out ahead. Some people may see value in the tractor beam for piracy usage, but you're probably carrying, it's tricky, right? Because when you start talking about the tractor beam, we don't really know if you're going to be able to put the rectangular boxes that you're more likely going to see from ships onto the attachment points on the Railen. It just may be a little bit too niche of a cargo ship to really fit that role very well, which is why you may just as well opt for a Caterpillar or even something like a Cutlass or a Max and using the hand tractor beam. Overall, the Railen, my recommendation on this would probably be not to buy, because I prefer other ships that have more value in my mind. That being said, it is a really cool ship, and I think you get a fair value for the price, and for an alien ship that is the first foray into industrial stuff, I really dig it. So if you guys have questions or differing recommendations, please feel free to share in the comments. So that's pretty much going to be it for this. If we get more information over the next couple of days about it, I'll make sure to cover it in more detail. If you have questions, please let me know. Don't forget to consider supporting the channel on Patreon and reaping those benefits associated with that membership. And stay tuned for more content coming your way soon. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and take care.